This is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. And our interviews are presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Our show, of course, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. So we are going to be talking about something that has been kind of an eyesore, but is now a little bit of a nice spot for Blairsville. It's the former lot for Murphy's, and it was raised earlier this year. So now we got to figure out what's going to happen with that lot over the next months, years, and even further down the road. Joining us right now on the phone, I hope, is Molly Sarver and Dave Janusek. And to the both of you, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you well, loud and clear, Josh.
Excellent. You're both sounding good on this end, so thanks very much for joining us. So the Murphy's building, we know that it was a great storefront at one time in Blairsville, but within the last couple of years, there was a movement to bring the building down because it was not safe anymore.
That is correct, Josh. Right. It was decided that the Murphy's building would have met the fate of demolition. And to make that happen, funds were obviously needed. I know that a large portion of the funds that were used for that demolition were federal funds through the DCED, and along with accepting that money, when the borough accepted that money and BCDA accepted the money, there were certain restrictions. One restriction was that the space had to remain a green space for 7 years. So to kind of bring us up to present day was you got to come up with a plan as to what will that green space look like? How will that green space be an attribute to the downtown? BCDA, the borough of Blairsville, had gotten together, formed a committee to kind of explore that. It was brought to the suggestion, let's work in tandem with Indiana County Department of Planning and Development. They were approached. They were the pros in getting from A to Z. So as they were approached, they accepted. And now we are current to the spot where the borough, the BCDA, the Blairsville Community Development Authority, and the Indiana County Planning and Development Department are all working together with the community to try to say, what does that space look like? What is that vision? What does the next 7 years look like in a way that it looks nice now? You're right, it's green, it's pastoral, but what will it look like for the next 7 years and then beyond to help to revitalize the downtown area of Blairsville?
So, Molly, it sounds like for the next 7 years, as Dave was saying, this has to be a green space of some sort. But from what it also sounds like, it doesn't necessarily mean that it just has to be a place where it's just grass growing right now.
Yeah, that's correct. There is some flexibility with what that space can be used for, or what we can do to maybe improve it aesthetically. But this is a Blairsville community project, so it shouldn't be us making these decisions. It should be the public making that decision. What does the public want this to look like? That helps us get public ownership over that space. Makes it easier for us to maintain it. And then in the long term, we want to make sure that whatever happens on this lot, if people want to keep it green space, if they want to see it developed into something new, that, again, it's something that the community feels that they have ownership over.
Right. So, Molly, what does the County Office of Planning and Development, what are they going to do to help facilitate the process? As Dave said, let's get up to the right now and see what's going on here. There's going to be a meeting, I've been told, sometime very soon.
Yes, next Wednesday, that would be September 30th at 6 p.m., we're having a virtual meeting. So that's something that you can access by a link that we have posted on our website online. But, if you don't have an internet connection, you are able to call in at 1-646-558-8656. I'll say that number again later, and you can listen in that way. So this meeting is kind of like our first step in this engagement process of listening to the community and talking with them to see what they would like to have done with this lot. This meeting is going to be followed up with some surveys, which will be available online, and also hard copies, we haven't figured out what locations we can safely leave hard copy presentations or surveys at.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to make sure that, regardless of people's accessibility to internet, they are able to give us some input. And then later on this year, we'll have 2 additional meetings, a second public input meeting, and then, a final meeting where we kind of start reporting out on, what it is, like narrowing down those ideas that have been shared in the first 2 meetings.
All right. So, David, have you actually heard of any other ideas other than just kind of leaving the ground be for a while? Have you been hearing some ideas on your end?
Sure. Obviously, there's a thing called Facebook.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Quite a few suggestions, which is good. That the community is active. It's gone everything from, let's do this, let's do that, let's, really. So there's the exciting part of that. So living in the town, you do hear that. And I keep saying, as Molly, said, we're going to do this through a process so that we come up with the best idea. One of the things that we want to see happen right now, it is just a space. We want to convert that into a place that would bring people in. And for some people, for instance, have a preference. They like the color red. Some people like the color blue. How do we get everyone that likes the color red, everyone that likes the color blue to come up with a new color that everyone can enjoy within the restrictions or within the parameters, let me say, of the grant and what can and can't be done as far as a green space. So believe me, there's a lot of, I'm sure, armchair designers in Blairsville and in the area that have some great ideas. And we want to hear all those great ideas. There's no bad ideas, but I hope at the end of this process we're able to come up with a hybrid that the majority of people in Blairsville and in the area say, well, that's some place, not a space, that I really would want to go, and it's a place where it'll help to promote what Blairsville has to offer. So sure, I've heard, you can believe, quite a few ideas. And I keep saying, great, bring those ideas to the visioning sessions.
Right. We're talking with David Janusek and Molly Sarver, who are putting together a special meeting coming up on September 30th. It's going to be for the Blairsville Murphy Lot Visioning Project, and this is a collaboration project between the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development and the Blairsville Community Development Authority. Now, Dave, as we talked about, this project has kind of been a long time coming and is the result of something that has been long wished for by many because of the fact that the Murphy building was not a safe structure. Have there been any other buildings that have been kind of on the radar that maybe similar processes could be used in Blairsville?
Sure. We would rather see those buildings, both the BCDA and the borough would rather see those buildings rehabbed and put into to space before they get to the point of needing to be torn down. It's kind of an oxymoron to say we want to develop, but the idea is to flatten. We want to go in a forward motion. I can tell you that the borough and others have made strides to contact those owners and say, what are your plans? There are people that may be interested in doing something with a building that may be getting, so to speak, as you mentioned, on that radar within 5 years. We don't want to see, I guess this is going to sound strange, we don't want to see another Murphy's lot. We don't want to see an Einstein Opera House lot. We don't want to see a Hotel Baca lot.
Right.
We want to see those buildings, those spaces revitalized. And it takes work. That stuff doesn't happen, fairy dust isn't sprinkled.
Right. And
people just come and say, hey, I want, but there are organizations and individuals in Blairsville. Being that we're working with the county development, planning and development, I honestly believe there's probably not a better organization in Indiana County that, planning and development is in their name. Let's hope that this Murphy's building lot helps to be a catalyst to others to say, rather than demolish a building down the street from the Murphy's lot, let's rehab that building because now there's another reason to come into downtown Blairsville, and that very well could be that Murphy's lot or whatever that lot transcends to become.
Mm-hmm. Molly, you had talked about the process that this has to go through. So it sounds like it has to go through 3 public meetings before even a decision can be made on what the fate will be for the Murphy's green space. And so it has to wait 7 years. But then after that 7 years is passed of it being a green space, then does that property kind of become fair game?
Well, so, as Dave mentioned, it's owned by the Blairsville Community Development Authority. So, I'd like to believe that they have some control over, what that property becomes. But essentially, yeah, it's kind of, it's open for a lot of different, it's open to a lot of different possibilities. And that's kind of why this envisioning process is so important, even 7 years out, because, whatever decisions we're able to come to about, that what image we want to work towards, that gives the Blairsville Community Development Authority the opportunity to start planning and working towards fulfilling that vision for the community.
All right.
So the possibilities are very open.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, it is very open. But again, within the first 7 years of this, which we're involved with right now, it has to remain a green space of some sort, whether it be, I guess, either just a lawn or a community park or anything like that. It has to abide by those rules that were set forth when the money came in.
Yes, exactly.
All right, excellent. So let's get down to the particulars once again. When is this meeting?
This meeting is September 30th. That is next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And people can join in on Zoom video chat. Where can they find the link?
You can find the link on our Facebook at our Facebook tag is at Bville, that's Bville, Murphy Lot. All one word, no space, at Bville Murphy Lot. Or you can go to the Indiana County Office of Planning Development website. If you look under our planning section and current projects, you will find a page for the Murphy Lot. So the Zoom link is posted in both of those locations. We've also advertised it in the Blairsville Dispatch and the Indiana Gazette. But if you aren't able to access the meeting using that Zoom link, you can also call us at 1-646-558-8656.
All right, that's excellent. Hey, both David and Molly, thank you both very much for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning. This sounds like an exciting new venture for Blairsville and for the downtown area. We wish you guys all the best and we hope you get a lot of people attending your meeting coming up on the 30th. Thanks again.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, that was David Janusek and Molly Sarver. David with the Blairsville BCDA and also Blairsville Borough, and also Molly Sarver with the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development joining us here on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Our interviews are always presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people.